Darkthrone, Transylvanian Hunger, 8 tracks, 39 minutes, the fourth studio album from the Norwegian black metal band released February 1994 via Peaceville Records. Produced by the band, no singles appear to have been released from this one. This is the band's first recording with just 2 members, with lyrics on 4 of the songs contributed by Burzum. This album caused quite a bit of controversy, to the point of the label even giving a backhand to the artist in a public statement while saying they couldn't censor their artist, due to the perceived racist statements going hand in hand with it. A lot of those comments, however, are held with deep regret from the band today. This band, however, is considered one of the leaders of the genre, and this album is considered to be one of their best. Go for it.
Yeah, these bands, look, it's a style, I get that, but they never get the production right. It makes it a very hard listen, if you ask me. Like, if they just were to polish it up, or just get some more balance, you know, it's very MIDI in tones. The drums were horribly recorded. It's just, with that style, when you're going to be very aggressive and abrasive, you need to have clarity. And you don't have it. You just don't get it. Very rare. And I know this is one of a big band, like a lot of people like Darkthrone in this genre. This is the reason why I suffer getting into this genre in a big way, because it just sonically doesn't sound right. It's very one-paced. It doesn't really deviate. One song fits all sort of thing. You've got to really love the style in order to get through the album. It's not as bad as what people, you know, when you put a black metal or a death metal tag on something.
I think this is a bit easier to consume.
Yeah, it gets a negative connotation, and I'm sure lyrically it is pretty, you know, full on. But when you listen to it, you don't feel that. You know, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel threatened or any kind of thing. Or I didn't feel like it was uneasy to hear or anything like that. I just found it boring because it was very much the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah, it needed some variety. And even like the best thrash bands, and it eventually did slow down and put some extra stuff in their songs. Whilst this is one of the early releases, if you love that style, it's actually quite strong. But overall, for me, taking myself out of it and just listening to it as a product, I give it a 7 out of 10 because they did stick to what they're all about, and that's an important thing these days. If you're going to come out as a certain genre, you've got to own it, you've got to sell it, and they did. But overall, there was no songs where I go, yeah, that's steps out. You know, it's a solid release, but it's nothing groundbreaking in terms of what I know black metal to be. Cool. So 7 out of 10.
The vocals are almost coherent. You can kind of understand some words here and there, and there's a surprising amount of melody at times.
How droll can we be in this review, Dave?
It's not menacing, though. Isn't death metal supposed to be evil and have that?
That's what I mean. It's very pleasant to the ear. I wasn't threatened by it.
Exactly. And like you were saying, it's fast and repetitive, and therefore it can get quite boring after a while. Yeah, it's very much the same thing. Each song has maybe an interesting riff or a change or some idea in it, but that's about all each song has to offer.
It's too subtle to change, you know, it's barely there.
You've got to mix things up, and if that means slowing down for a bit, then to come in with a massive punch, then that's what you got to do. But, you know, without some diversity within it, it just becomes the same thing over and over. 5 out of 10, I had no standouts.
Okay. Follow that enthusiasm up.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, Timmy. Norwegian black metal, right. The effect of this music is so powerful, as soon as I finished listening to this, I went down to burn a church down.
Fantastic. Mission accomplished.
Yes. Disclaimer, we do film this a few weeks in advance. If a church has burnt down recently, it wasn't me. All right?
It was me. I listened to Striper.
Just to get that out there, you know. The world's a pretty daunting place. I didn't really know what to make of this for the best part, but it gave me a laugh. I'm not a connoisseur of the genre, and this is that step too far for me to really sort of sink my teeth into. It does just sound like a bit of an exercise of trying to be sort of brutal, offensive, tuneless, and frankly offensive to all the senses. I mean all the senses, because I'm pretty sure I could smell this. And it didn't smell great.
It smells wonderful. It smells like burning churches.
Like yeah, no, it does not. There's no mix to speak of. There's sort of no production to speak of.
Man, so that was hilarious.
I'm not even going to get into it. I'm sure it was a lot of fun to make, but it was a tough listen for me. I gave it 3 out of 10, and I couldn't pick a highlight because I couldn't tell them apart.
Now, when I first gave this a spin, I thought this was a lot older than it was. I thought this was a lot. I thought early 94. I thought this was like 81.
81.
I thought this was 81. Whoa. The sound is interesting, let's say. Tim also made a point of the version we had to listen to as well. He said you stipulated it had to be the first version of it.
So there's a worse version. This
is a classic album.
Yeah, but that's why he wanted it. He also warned us to be very careful, which I'm pretty sure we haven't succeeded in doing. So let me continue that trend. This is very, very much a black metal album. If you like that, you're going to love this sort of stuff. If not, you're going to want to stay well clear of this. It's brutal, punishing, repetitive, suitably painful. It's not supposed to make you feel good, and they've hit that mark for mine. Technically proficient playing as you expect from the genre, growling, intense vocals, frantic guitar work, and the drumming to match. The interesting thing for me was the bass in this. That's actually well written into these songs, and it filled things out nicely. The writing from track to track is different to a degree, but it's almost like it's as diverse as you're allowed to be within the constraints of the genre, which doesn't give you a lot of latitude. Maybe nowadays it's a bit different, but back then, not so much. Not a lot of swing or groove here. It's pretty blistering all the way through. The songs themselves within them, I find them to be repetitive. It's like that you just hear the same riff and it drones. The songs tend to drone. Again, if you like that, this is going to be right up your alley. If you don't like that, this is not going to do anything to change your mind whatsoever. There are little things in that break it up, like little guitar breaks and stuff like that, but the tempo is pretty much the same thing all the way through. What I can understand of lyrics is fucking nuts. It's intense, it's dark, it's evil, it's all the things you want from the genre. It's supposed to make you want to go and burn down churches, and it does that. Between language, style, and production, I struggle to make out enough of it, but when it does come through, it's perfectly suited to the music, and that's neat. Now the production, which Tim has been waiting for this comment from me, I guess. I thought this was a lot older than it was. This sounds like a shitty tape dub of a demo. It's got a really noisy mix. Everything just bleeds into each other. The cuts between tracks are actually rather abrupt. And there's a really weird use of dead space that I'm not sure is intentional or was meant to make a point of some sort. This sounds like it came straight out of 1981. I've written that down on here. Now, this sounds like it was recorded in a bedroom with black candles and heaps of pot smoke as the only decorations, apart from maybe some old mattresses nailed to the walls. It's incredibly harsh, but for all of that, there is a remarkable sense of balance they actually employed within the mix. Everything, it's not like when you get a really bad mix where just things just leap left, right, and center and that don't fucking make sense. At least it's consistent. That is the one thing about the mix. It's just like they actually, I don't know if it was done with one fucking microphone or what, but they actually blended it in remarkably well. Now, if this is the sort of thing that was done with one microphone to share across the entire thing, then fucking well done. Like, that's a huge amount of work and a lot of credit due to them. If this was done in an actual studio, monumental fail. You know what I mean? It really comes down to how it was done, and I don't know. So I've hedged my bets there. So if it was done in a one mic setup and you got no fucking budget, fucking actually well done, well played. If it's done in a fucking studio with a producer and all that sort of shit, fuck off. The album craft is punishing as you'd expect, not a lot of diversity, but there are some of those interesting differences. If you want 40 minutes of punishment, you come to the right place. If you want peaks, troughs, dynamics, and diversity, then don't even open the door a crack for this release. For all that, the more you spin it, the more I came to appreciate it. And while it's, forgive me for saying this, because I know they're not in the same league, but I used to listen to a lot of Cradle of Filth back in the day. And so that gives me a gateway of some sort into this genre. I know that Cradle of Filth is whatever, but at least it gave me some base work from a long time ago to listen to this music. You get exactly what you need out of this music. The length is just right. Overall, it's the right thing for the right audience. Depends on taste. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's not meant for people like me, and that's fine. If it had better production and more diversity, I'd probably really enjoyed this, though. There's enough there to get into. And while it's nice to go over this and appreciate it for what it is, it's not what I'm going to go back to. If you like the genre, though, and you like it old school and sound, this is one to check out for sure. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Transylvanian Hunger. I enhal med flesk og mjød.
That one.
And Skald al Satan's Soul were my choices. Okay, Tim, bring it home. Defend your choice.
This album is brilliant.
Can you at least enlighten me on how this was recorded?
It was recorded in the studio.
Oh, fuck.
However, the caveat...
Hang on. A music studio?
Yes.
Like a hair studio or something, right?
Yeah, it was recorded in a studio, just driving the fuck out of the desk. Wow. And funnily enough, all the instruments were recorded by the same person. The second member of the band is doing the vocals, and yeah, like you said, but part of the production and the recording is using it as an instrument. As I was saying before, like, the whole point of this kind of thing was to be abrasive and try to push the boundaries for the time, and especially this is 94, this is like peak grunge era and all that, and metal as a thing is basically dead. Like Slayer aren't really doing anything, Metallica are releasing Load, and this is a couple of years before Pantera really hit it off, so for the time it's got its thing. But as for the production, having that kind of riffing style and that kind of atonal melodies happening, it's having a super clean production that's very slick. It sounds like the Veronicas or something like that.
I wasn't looking for that.
Yeah,
no, I wasn't.
But then it wouldn't have the same effect. It doesn't have that same bit of sandpaper on it.
But we did the Behemoth one recently, and that's got really good balance and incorporates those things I'm looking for. If it had been more along those lines, it would have been really.
Yeah, but the thing with the Behemoth album though is it's got the big orchestras and the choirs and all that in the background. Whereas if you listen to Christian to the Lions from Behemoth, it sounds like this.
Okay.
Like that's.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
You're the connoisseur,
basically it. Yeah. The thing that I love about this genre is the melodies of the guitars, the way that everything kind of washes over you and it's kind of laid back while still having the drums behind it and the bass behind it going crazy. And yeah, for me, this is a phenomenal album. Transylvanian Hunger is the highlight. One of the top 3 albums in the genre for mine, along with Death Crush by Mayhem and The War by Burzum. Wow. Even though Burzum, the guy who runs the band's a dickhead. But yeah, this is like a 9.5 out of 10 for me from one of my favourite genres.
I'm sure one of the guys in this band's quite nice.
Oh yeah, he's actually a postie.
Oh, there you go. I mean, I could hear it in there somewhere.
He's a postie.
He's buried behind that.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he nominated himself for an election as a joke and ended up winning.
Oh, is this that one?
That's that guy. That's Fenriz.
Okay, yeah.
This is this guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the meme of the guy say, like, I get a better snare sound than Lars?
Yeah.
That's this guy.
Now all those things make a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's this guy.
All right, wonderful. Well, on that note, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think. Otherwise, go and find some memes. They got a church. Oh, poor Dave.
Yeah, I'm good. Just a couple of albums that put me to sleep.
Or was it the chicken?
Chicken's good. Belly's full. I can go to sleep.
It's like struggling to digest straight after Limp Bizkit into the chicken.
Yeah. Let's not fucking.
Let's go all American on this shit right now.
Yeah, chicken biscuit.
We did have Thanksgiving yesterday, so chicken and a biscuit. All right.